than the leader who has shaped this movement from the start. Please join me in welcoming New York Times bestselling author and founder of the Win-Win Workplace Summit, Harvard University's Dr. Angela Jackson.
So I just have to say, this feels incredible. And I'm like, just gonna take a moment and take in the room. If you look to your left and right, this audience has grown by 35% from last year. And it talks a lot about the movement that we're building, so thank you. So when we first imagined this gathering, it was really predicated on one simple truth, that workplaces work better when people do better. I don't know that I have to convince you all of this, but when we look to our left and to our right, I call you all the coalition of the willing. And the reason why I do that is because we don't need to make the case to each other, but we also know that sometimes we have to make the case to people outside of this room. And how do we do that? Grounded not only in our values and core beliefs, but also in just real data on ROI. And that's what we're building out of Future Forward Institute. What we've been seeing at our research today is that many leaders are being asked to navigate increasingly complex situations. So all of us know how AI is reshaping work. We're hearing from our colleagues and our team members and employees that they're asking for more meaning, well-being, and shared purpose in their work. We're also seeing that organizations are being asked to move faster, act faster, to do more with less people. And when we think about that moment, and if we're going to be honest, many of us leaders who are leading in this moment, we put on a brave face, but many of us too are carrying some uncertainties about this moment. As I've looked at over 1,700 workplaces, no one has their playbook figured out. I was talking to someone here, Jimmy from Hitachi, who you'll hear from, but he said every few months they're creating a new playbook, right? Because we're learning more about the technology and what it can do for us. So that could be a period when we're talking about all things that go wrong. But in a decade of research, what I've seen is that this is not a period, but an inflection point. We get to decide in this moment how we want to build differently. Disruption gives us a chance to think about what workplaces do we actually want? What types of leadership does this moment demand? And how do we create organizations where human flourishing and business performance are not at odds, that they're actually interchangeable when we think about that? And so that's what this summit is really about how we're translating some of those core beliefs. I like to say that this is all grounded in that shared belief that the future of work cannot be built in isolation, that it's actually really going to be built, as my friend Rashad Tabakawala says, in the containers that are different than the past, and he'll talk a bit about that. And that's going to be through collaboration. So what I'd love to talk about now is some of the collaborations that you'll hear that started on this very stage a year ago. There were people who stepped into the room and came in as seeming competitors or strangers who left as fellow travelers. So they saw intersection in the work and transformation that they were trying to lead, and they found people that had either done it before or in the midst of transformations themselves in this moment. And so that's why we call them fellow travelers. What I want to show you next is that what we're launching for the summit and moving forward is what we're calling the Win-Win Collective. This summit was never designed to be a one-and-done conversation. What we're building with the Win-Win Collective is a container that we all can stay together and think about experimenting together, think about problem solving together. And if you click on that QR code, you can search the offering on our new website, but these are the ways that we're going to stay in contact long after the summit. So before I get off the stage, I want to thank this incredible group here. Over 20 members of our Win-Win Workplace Advisory Board have spent the last 5+ months designing programming, much of it that you're going to see today. So if we could give them a hand. I also want to thank our sponsors and partners who have made this day possible. Specifically, I need to call out the Human Potential Network. They were one of our founding sponsors who helped us envision and create the Win-Win Workplace Summit. I also like to acknowledge our partners, the Learning Forum and the Corporate Impact Lab. They have helped us create a lot of the programming that you're going to see today. And I'll just end with this. This room to me is very special when I talk about that coalition of the willing. These are people who have come today that, despite what's going on in the world, truly believe that in collaboration over competition, that knows that we are going to build together to build better workplaces. None of us came here with all the answers, but together we can build better questions, we can build better experiments, and ultimately we can create better workplaces. So with that, I want to thank you again for being part of this movement and welcome you again to the Win-Win Workplace Summit. Thank you.